Okie dokie then, let's go ahead and get things going for today, shall we? We find ourselves moving on to the next tier. Make a good Mega Man level 3, we're up to tier 13 out of 15. We're getting there, we're almost there. Just a little longer, just a bit more. Eventually. But for now, let's go ahead and get things ready to go, yes. Let's see. I went ahead and got the spreadsheet ready to go ahead of time, so it should be all set. So let's get the game launched. It's going to take a little while to load up as usual. I think the capture card's working. It was working when I tested earlier, so it better still be working. It is good. I didn't grab the update, no. That's fine. It didn't have too many major things. I can grab it later. The reason why the tiers are going a bit faster at the moment is we haven't had a stage that takes over an hour in a while.
It's almost like the stages are getting better as we go along or something.
Someday. Not the EP! Not the EP! Nope. Alright, we're off to the theater. Your own sweets is punishable by exile. I'm pretty sure I know what the keys use, but I'm gonna avoid using it until we're done with the tiers.
Welcome to Cinema Palace, official sponsor of the worldwide 6th Robot.
Excuse me, background music.
This is probably gonna be another tier where I have to turn down the music while I'm writing reviews because it has words in it!
Oh, so hello, Doorman, I recognized you!
For some reason, you left an impression!
Welcome to the movie theater. It's been a while, hasn't it, Roll? Normally I'd ask you for your ticket, but tournament contestants have free entry. Enjoy the shows! Terra in space! Hey, what's up, Needleman? Personally, I don't care about the tournament. I'm actually waiting for the inevitable movie adaptation of it instead. Then I could just see the whole thing on the big screen while chilling in a big, comfy chair. And then I can get angry when they butcher something about the tournament events, even though I didn't watch it. You had me until that last bit, Needleman! Why do you gotta be like that? Why you gotta be like that, though? Time penalty this deep in, huh? Alright. It's only a little one, though. Pumpkin patches! The pumpkin. By Nitro Striker. One and three. All right, let's go. Yo, what's up? I think I saw a bunch of robots skulking around the place. Bummer. No trick-or-treating. Is that a mole man? Look, a groundhog man. I don't know what kind of animal it's going for. Ah, they explode apparently. Oh, and burn the grass. Very well. We have ourselves an established gimmick. Looks like if we take them out fast enough, they don't even get a chance. Different sort of hothead, okay? Wonder why I didn't burn the grass the previous time. Huh. Strange. This groovy little version of Shade Man's theme. I see you! How'd I get here? That's a secret! Nah, you must know one of them shortcuts. Yeah, I thought it sounded like being like... what do they call those rearranged soundtracks they did from 4 through 6? Complete Works? Yeah, I was gonna say it sounded like one of those. Oh, hey! This tail actually works! Because the other pin is properly marked! Go fig! Thus the importance of consistent visual design. Okay, I really don't like these hotheads. Why'd you have to make hotheads even worse than they already were? I'm just gonna... die, there we go. Alright, let's go. Easier than walking all the way back out, since it was close enough to the checkpoint anyways. Thank you, Xbox controller. I love it when you do that. I wanted a micro jump. Someday I'll find a good controller for the PC. Someday. I have a good one for like retro games, but one that actually has the right analog stick. I'm still looking for that. Yeah, let me just retrain all my muscle memory to start playing on keyboard instead. That'll work.
Especially when I'm looking for an analog stick. Sorry for the sarcasm, but like, no, thank you.
I don't want PlayStation, but the controllers because I hate how their analog sticks are positioned. I need the GameCube layout. The Switch Pro controller has a shit D-pad, so it's not an option either. Trust me, I've tried a lot of controllers. It's hard to find one that's a combination of actually good and doesn't fall apart in 3 months. 8-bit are horrendous for me. They'll fall apart in about 2 months. Their D-pads are just not suited for daily use. Once again, is the second health bar really necessary, especially for a mid-boss? Searchlight Joe! Alright, just a demonstration. No, I mean, he's just gonna get laser trying like all the other Joes. Yeah, remember last time we bought the power-up that shows off weaknesses? I mean, it's the sensible weakness. I see. Instead of Magnet Beam's specific area, huh? I bonked my head! What grades the secret SFX from? Link's Awakening! It's that little boop 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 of the compass. No! I stubbed my head. I didn't think I was gonna jump all the way up into that, but I did! That's a surprisingly annoying Magnet Beam section. Yoink! A key as well, huh? You tell me I'm gonna have to hang on to that key the whole way through, I'm guessing? Alright! Can't quite hit him, but maybe I can... Aha! Joes! The enemy I'll consistently pull my weapons out for. just went this way and placed this gate thingy here. You even have this weird Halloween costume, too. I mean, who would even dress up as a log? Hi, Hat in Time Music, how's it going? Alright, super duper optional bonus area. What? Aren't you the guy from, like, the We Are Number One song? Wordman? Wordman? Oh, where's that nincompoop? I take my eyes off him for one moment and he just disappears. Screw you and your leaf shield. I can't be ours. Stuff's the old picture frame here. Inside it's a picture of a good wearing a good chat. Nah. Some jerk took my hat and ran off to the upper floor. So what am I wearing? It's a spare hat. A spare hat that I had with me. Look, just go and beat him up for me, will ya? Strong and spooky, oh no! Welcome to my lair. This hat? I found it among the rooms of the mansion. Look, I have no idea what you're talking about. Also, on her half, I'm noticing a trend. Is 3 health bars really necessary? Multiple health bars was a mistake. The hat has been freed! Yeah, but you can just make him do less damage. It's like, it's not hard. Just have him take less damage and have the 1 health bar. Anyway. Well, I can safely say I've dropped 0 frames, so it's not going to be on the stream end.
I see the posters are changing. Hang on a second. It's like, that's not the Terra poster.
I get it! It's free! Wily! That was alright. I think the side area was kind of unnecessary, but other than that... Had some fun gimmicks with the burning grass. Didn't really do a whole much more beyond that, but I mean, combined them in some different ways. Not many. Once again, the side area felt kind of unnecessary. Had a pretty good time with it. Nothing seemed glitchy or anything like that, so that's fine. And it looked really good aesthetically, so give it some good points there. Lantern Man sprites were especially good, so I was getting very high marks on aesthetics. Honestly, the only kind of questionable looking bit was the bonus area. And even the custom Woodman sprites were nice. Oh, we got... 65. Yeah, the pixel art was great. Like, that's easily the highlight of this stage, is that everything was very expressive and good. Okay, first off, the main highlight of this stage is definitely the aesthetics. The sprites, in particular, were very expressive and downright bouncy in their animation. Give everything this nice sense of additional life. The tile set for the level itself was not bad either, but it was a bit subdued compared to how jovial now everything else was. That said, everything was clearly labeled and easy to understand. Even made it pretty clear that the one pit you had to jump down for a token was indeed not a death pit, thanks to consistent pit markings during the exterior segment. Admittedly, the same shadow markings were missing inside, which felt a little odd. The only kind of dull-looking area was the kind of unnecessary secondary zone for the third token. The gameplay was alright. Definitely not the star of the show. The fire gimmicks are neat, and the custom Joe that I nicknamed Searchlight Joe was a clever idea, but a Joe's a Joe's a Joe. The laser trident is coming out. The fire gimmicks kinda show everything they can do early on, so the later part of the level has to rely more on just stuff flying at you. I also did not care for the hothead. Having an actual enemy as its projectile, as it just made them even more annoying than the standard hothead already is. I don't think it was the default tile set. I remember seeing the default tile set and it looked a bit different in an earlier stage. But it's definitely one of those tile sets we've seen a few times with the spacey type graphics. Lantern Man was an interesting boss. But admittedly, 3 phases of attacks is too many. Mega Man fights tend to be pretty brief. Otherwise, they overstay their welcome. And the problem with trying to cram so much into such a short fight is you really do not get to see much. Even with the 3 health bars. Maybe just 2 phases that were a little more fleshed out. If you really need to go that approach. Thunder sprites, though. And the attacks were all pretty fair. Oh, the mini-boss, by the way, really did not need the second health bar. It is a mini-boss. They are supposed to be quick. Good level. Foggy Woods, check. Abandoned Castle, check. Shade Man music, check. Surprise Ghost, also check. This is an attempt to be spooky. Wait, if I'm gonna say it like that, I need to add a little bit more. Spooky. Personally, I was just disappointed by how predictable the ghost thing was. And I almost wish we got a proper fight out of it. Still, the rest of the aesthetic is solid. Although the pixel-perfect jumps on curved stone tiles are a pain. Conceptually, this is pretty strong. The vents and hotheads are one good thing. They work great with the grass, and I adored the telegraphs for when Hothead sees you. But Lantern Joe is a pleasant standout. Instead of another tedious shield enemy, they ended up being cool dodging challenges in disguise, which I adored. Unfortunately, the one-eyed bots seem like an afterthought in comparison. They're not badly used in any stretch, but when one of the bats is still just a regular bat, this is evidently what got the least attention of the enemy latch. Look, that was not that scary. If I wanted to scare the chat, I'd put on the demon filter. As far as gimmicks go, it's only got 2 significant ones. The drop platforms are great. The flammable grass, solid concept, but a lot of variety in how it's used. But the real issue isn't variety, it's length. Good grief, this level is long. The cave section has the right idea, starting off with only a few pieces, but 2 to 3 enemy types and 1 gimmick are not enough to sustain the first half of the 2/3 of this roughly 50 stage screen. I mean, this 50 stage screen, this 50 screen stage me. The bosses are also longer than usual, and the level's final token is especially lengthy. You have to get the second token's key, survive the climbing room, brave a several screen-long starfield death trap with every gimmick turned up to the top, and fight a multi-phase bonus boss. You do all of this for a token and some lore. Even with checkpoints, that's too much, and it absolutely hurts the level. Like I said, the completely unnecessary side area. But despite that mess of a token, I ultimately enjoyed this. After the big change key is defeated itself, an alright boss despite the repetitive first phase. The experience picks up massively with Lantern Joe and the drop platforms showing up, and Lantern Man himself. He's such an excellent boss fight that it makes up for the ghost story being kind of a letdown. He makes great use of his 3 health bars to spread out his abilities, and he's one of the only shield bosses I've fought that doesn't annoy me to death. There are issues with the level length that need adjusting, but as a whole, I enjoyed this. Good work. Yeah, it was on the longer side, but at least it wasn't one of those 20+ minute levels. I have a soft spot for spooky levels. It always feels like a theme that the official series severely overlooked, with Shade Man being the one exception. So I'm happy to see a stage trying to do something along those lines. The aesthetics are certainly on point for this type of theming as well. From the overall look of the level to the sounds of the enemies, it's all done up rather nicely. Speaking of which, the enemies are another point of interest here. I like the general ideas behind most of them, especially with how they can set the grass on fire. That said, it's also very easy for those sections to get out of hand, mostly thanks to the jumping fire tackles that the hotheads produce. They're not impossible to deal with by any means, but the sheer rate at which Hothead can throw them out, coupled with the Hothead himself being a somewhat tanky enemy, makes them more annoying than not. Yeah, it's the issue. I think those enemies being mostly absent for the second half of the level is why I ended up enjoying that part a bit more. That's also not to mention Lantern Joe, who is probably the most unique enemy here. I ended up having a lot of fun trying to play around him while on the Shadow Man platforms, which is actually a little surprising to me in hindsight. I usually hate gimmicks that more or less reset your progress while going up big vertical rooms, but thankfully that wasn't the case here. That's probably thanks to how manageable Lantern Joe ends up being. Even with the other gimmicks and enemies at play here, just so long as you take your time and don't rush things where it's not necessary. Outside of the tackle fires, sometimes making things a bit hectic, I'd say I really enjoyed the main sections of the level. Sadly, the side areas of the level are where things get a bit more mixed. First, there's the Magnet Beam challenge. While it's not too hard to get through, you can easily find yourself in a situation of having to redo it should you happen to die after grabbing the key. That said, the secret area said key leads to is pretty good. It's a short set of tough but fair platforming challenges, with the one exception being a rather frustrating Hothead encounter early on. Those tackle fires really don't mix well with the Shadow Man platforms. That one bit aside, though, I thought the secret area was fine. The secret boss, less so. While his custom attacks are fine and actually kind of fun to avoid, the same can't be said for his default attack. Woodman's Falling Leaves have always been very finicky to avoid, but it's made even more of an endurance test / damage race here thanks to him having 2 health bars. I also found the reward you get for beating him, 1 token and some lore implications, to be pretty lackluster. Thankfully, the level ends on a high note, and its main boss, Lantern Man, is a pretty straightforward but still entertaining fight. Admittedly, I didn't quite understand some of his attacks at first, but once I realized how consistent his moves were, he always goes to the center of the room before attacking. His fists always try to home in on you after a slight delay. His other projectiles always come out in the same way, etc. Everything suddenly clicked with me, and I learned to really enjoy his fight. He also strikes an interesting balance with his multiple health bars and the increased damage he takes. It doesn't go down too easily in spite of that, but it doesn't feel like he overstays his welcome either. Yeah, it goes down quick. The problem is he doesn't have enough time to really breathe between his phases as a result.
It's like, probably should have cut that down to 2 and kind of polished it up a bit more.
It's like I give you 1 to let him shine, but like 3's a bit too many. I appreciate that he goes down quickly enough for it to not feel like 3 though. Overall, even though its side content has a few rough patches, I still really enjoyed my time with this level. It's got good theming and aesthetics, interesting enemies, and both a really fun mini-boss and end boss to boot. Fire hazards! The horror! I like the small story going on with the Witch Hat Girl. The sprites are also well done, and a nice touch to make existing enemies more fitting to the Halloween theme. I quite enjoy the concept of the fire enemies sending the grass up in flames. It's always cool to see enemies interacting with their environment. I also like the fact that the tackle fire enemies don't immediately attack you, so that you can plan your routing before risking the fire being set off. The little gripe I had with the stage, though, is that it's a little bit on the long side, with the same men Hothead-like enemies scattered throughout, with not much variation on the enemy challenges. The first token is in a fake pit with no immediately obvious way out of the pit. Rude. At least the entrance to it was marked differently than actual pits, but still, a bit of an odd design choice. I see Patchy also missed the door route.
It probably could have stood to be marked a bit more clearly.
The stage music can get rather annoying after a while with that same sample playing constantly in high energy, and it's much louder than other music in the same stage. Audio mixing! I have a funny feeling this one is balanced after the fact. That fire mini-boss suffers huge damage from water shield, but the tricky part is that all of its attacks also get rid of the shield. Combined with its frantic movements, making it hard to actually land those hits. Somehow I had more trouble with this guy than the actual stage boss. The stage boss is fine. You can get a little intimidating with the fast attacks and huge health pool. Thankfully, he takes double damage from the buster. Many of his attacks are reasonably dodgeable, as long as you stick to the side and pay attention. The extra crosshair graphics look cool, but it's also somewhat unnecessary. It doesn't really seem to change much of the dynamic of the fight, nor can you really influence how the crosshair is placed as far as I'm aware. Then there's a weird side level with one man with a funny face. Nice. You made a level with highly satisfying aesthetics. Other levels look and sound good. This one is art. This is art. The whole experience is Halloween thrill with a perfect soundtrack. I don't even like Halloween, but I like clever environmental gimmicks, a narrative with a sense of humor, well-timed checkpoints and power-ups, and cohesive theming. Well, I'm not sure how the second half qualifies as a pumpkin patch, but I'll take it. And Xiao's progression stutters a bit. It's a smooth upward curve that flattens out, then dips rather shockingly, then quickly ramps up again. Challenges themselves are clear and well-structured, but often border on cheap and overly demanding, especially in a buster-only run. Lots of proximity-triggered enemies on ledges, gaps that are almost too wide to jump across, and long stretches without a safe place to rest. Fortunately, special weapons help tremendously, though water shield is perhaps too good. The custom enemies are initially a threat, but treat, but start to go stale by the end, especially if you pursue all the tokens. A level this long needs at least one more enemy type. Lantern Joe could use a little polish. Magnetic shockwave makes his lantern disappear, and he doesn't flash when damaged. Mini-boss projectiles should disappear when the mini-boss dies, etc. That said, the fireball mini-boss is a fun break. I could do without Windman. I don't get the reference, so that whole digression to the portal zone feels highly disruptive, plus it requires getting the difficult Magna Beam token in the same sitting. Lantern Man's a fitting end to the level, albeit a smidge too frantic for my taste. Also, please consider donating some health bars to charity. 7 health bars across 2 bosses and a mini-boss is overkill. And some color choices are indistinguishable to my colorblind eyes.
Give some health bars to charity, god damn it, Clash Man.
Fun fact, this is the first stage of the Judge EXE. Whoever did that is getting fired. I know some sticklers might be off about the mix of Red Book audio, transparency, etc. But no, gosh, this is an atmospheric level. Excellent choice of an excellent remix from the arcade games, and I do appreciate the little touches, such as fog creeping across the field, and a variety in settings that are thematically appropriate. I think my absolute favorite thing about this stage is that this has what is probably the best Joe variant I've come across. Its pattern is based on the player's actions rather than a timer, which makes them a more satisfying enemy to encounter. And the fact they usually bugger off once they've done their thing makes them feel more like a gimmick and not the usual irritant time sink. I'm always a fan of tokens that reward the player for paying attention, and this is how I think tokens should be handled. I did like the Magna Beam challenge, it felt fair, but that first token was particularly hazardous. Deadly enemy placement and even being really easy to fall into one of those many pits just by going into the screen transition wrong. Some parts leave me wanting a bit. I'd say the tile work early on in the stage could do with more work, but thankfully it gets much better later in. But the first area is rough. The fact that foreground grass and background grass look way too similar makes parsing every early parts of the level difficult, and this meant the firehead was very poorly introduced. Using it in an area with grass that both wasn't lit on fire, and then including it with real grass is very confusing. It's even confused me in replays. But if there's one part I just didn't like at all, it's the secret area, the meme area. The general area here was weaker in every way than the rest of the stage, but then Woodman happened, and well, Woodman felt pointless and distracting. The fight's first phase caused it to drag. It's literally just the stock Woodman fight. Better health management might have helped lessen this feeling if you just wanted to fit to the fake out. I like the second phase leans super heavy into the arcade games, but this entire area fell flat. I miss Stefan too, but I would have preferred a less jank tribute to the #1 villain. That the side area cut off a segment of the stage I just found more fun is also, yeah, not a fan. That all said, my second favorite thing about this stage, the other bosses. The mid-boss might be a bit hard for a mid-boss personally, but he's enjoyable, and I have perfect random, so he's not egregiously super hard or anything. Lantern Man, perfect cap to the stage. Pattern diversity and obvious phase changes, good tells, and thanks to increased damage dealt to him, he justifies the health increase. This is a clever way of handling really obvious phase transitions, and it's only a shame that first-second reactions might scare people due to how badly other stages have bungled this. That is a extremely excellent point. If I had one critique, his projectiles persist into death, as does his hurt box, and that has in fact led to some rather unfortunate deaths. Still, he's a rather good boss, and I'll be coming back to fully digesting the pattern in the future. 2022 note? Wow. Both some of my quips and this stage's meme references particularly show their age, huh? For those that don't remember, both the stage and review reference a certain #1 Lazy Town song for what it's worth. And we didn't actually fire the person, we just sent them down to waste management. I'm gonna go Patchy. Also, I'm gonna dock a couple of points for not getting rid of the hit boxes when the boss is defeated. There we go. Woohoo! The best part of any premiere is definitely the roll across the red carpet. And I don't mean that metaphorically. I'm not lame like everyone else. I drive across that carpet popping wheelies. Sometimes I slip up being someone gets hurt, but it's okay because I always look extremely cool when I do it. No, not bad box art, Mega Man. No! Why is he here? Anyways, Action Man, you deserve this. Pick your poison! My lollipop 1136. Alright, just the element. Let's go! This tile set again, we've seen this a few times now. Half gravity, please! I have chosen correctly! I have really chosen correctly! Yes, the thing is that I don't know why you'd pick the high gravity. Half gravity's almost always going to be the best option, so we're just going to keep doing half gravity. Gravity Man or Pharaoh Man? Well, Gravity Man's about 100 times easier, so we'll go this way. Okay, I have fun a lot of times, so I guess magnetic shockwave's fine. I guess we can bully Gravity Man. Oh, I see! Hang on a sec, that was my speed? Now give me speed! Oh yeah, baby, let's go! Whee! hurts! Vroom, vroom! Yeah, double speed some more.
Wow, what a choice! I can fight Top Man because I like Top Man.
Ooh, this might be dangerous. Then again, I can jump like super wide. I was saved by undershirt. Half gravity and half speed versus double gravity but double speed. Ooh, see, now we're getting into the tricky choices. Speed's so good! Let us be fast! It's gonna be tricky. Okay, that's definitely gonna be very tricky. Alright, same thing, half and half or double and double. Double and double, baby! Double and double? Honestly, yeah, how high you gotta jump? Oh, that should make Airman's patterns pretty easy, actually. Airman! Man, even with double speed, I can't jump over those properly. You suck, Airman. You're sucking all the fun out of this, Airman. This is what you get. Your wind is so strong that even my double speed isn't enough to jump over your shit. Get rid of him. Disappointed. Even at double speed, I can't beat Airman's wind. That was an interesting gimmick. The stage itself. Interesting, I guess. Definitely getting a good fun score, because, you know, I like to go fast. Ah, PvP. Captain Meridian, what are you doing up there? Gonna hit the speed function a bit, because there's very clear problems with the choices between the two sections. wasn't the most exciting looking stage. '56. This is one of those level concepts that is alright, I guess. I would rather a stage just be segments of both that has been nicely refined. Being able to, quite literally, pick your poison is neat and all, but every section pretty much has a clear winner as to what to choose. Speed good, low grab good. The later choices are tricky, but even then, slow and low is the better option. Heavy and fast is for the memers. So me. One big issue with the choice of bosses and each of the poisons is having no idea what has been done to the boss rooms. This makes your choice feel a lot less meaningful when the boss might have a room layout that severely punishes one choice over the other. Or in the case of Airman, figuring out that apparently moving at double speed is still not enough to beat his wind current. Darn. This level was alright, but it is not a gimmick I particularly care for. I really like the premise. The individual level pieces in any other stage would be boring and uninspired. It's all standard gimmicks and enemies, no real semblance of theme, and it's all stuff we've seen before. However, the ability to pick and choose your gravity/speed parameters creates something completely new, on top of having a ton of natural replay value. With these assets, how you play becomes a distinct, unique choice, and every playthrough can be a little different. And should your choice not be working out, you can change your mind. Sadly, this doesn't always work. The individual paths are generally fine, generic theming aside. It starts out with gravity mods, which many players will be used to, and then goes for speed mods, before ultimately combining everything. The only real problem spot is in the second one, as cut slips can be surprisingly irritating with speed mods. The problem is more the bosses, which can get unfortunately dicey. Having poked through every possible combination, there's a few bosses that are close to impossible if you pick the wrong choice. Cutting your horizontal movement speed in general is a bad idea, and between the two final bosses, Dustman seems to be noticeably easier. The feeling of only one valid solution kind of defeats the point at this place, which is a touch awkward after the level itself handles so smoothly. It's probably my favorite usage of split paths out of any level in this contest, even though you're ultimately going through the same segment no matter what you pick. The way the altered speed/jump height influences said segments makes you for a really interesting stage premise. Starting off, I really like how each choice involved has its own share of pros and cons. For example, gravity jumps allow you to bypass or trivialize certain enemies, but then you run the risk of more easily hitting spikes in the low ceiling segments. Granted, not all of these segments have equal trade-off for your choices. Picking your speed down in the first segment where you're prompted to do so feels way more punishing than the speed up option. That no matter which movement types you pick, the Popo Heles will always be a problem. The special mention goes for the stretch. The one in the final stretch, which constantly respawns unless you jump over it a certain way, or just get rid of it with laser trident. Even with that in mind, each section still feels like it had a lot of thought put into it based on the available choices. And on that note, thank you so much for not putting a token in this stage. Having to rely on one movement option or the other for them could have easily been disastrous, so it was a good call not to use them here. As for anything else, I think the only parts of the level I didn't like as much were the boss fights. Some of them are fine, no matter which movement option you pick, while others with more gimmicky rooms feel near insurmountable if you pick certain combinations. Top Man's boss room may as well just instantly kill you if you're having to pick the speed up option beforehand. Oh, really? Why, you didn't want to do wide sweep jumps? Same thing goes for Airman if you pick the high speed, low jump option. Okay, that one I can agree with. I feel like seeing the boss portraits before you make the choice of your movement options would, and maybe some indicator of what kind of gimmicks the rooms have, if any, would have alleviated this a bit. All that being said, I still had a good time with this stage by the end of it. Overall, not too bad. The illusion of choice. Yeah, it's a good subtitle for that one. I think this is a very neat idea, picking your own modifications to change the dynamic of the section you're going through, and you can change it up both on later playthroughs if you want a different experience. Reminds me a bit of a roguelike game. Except the problem is, low gravity and high speed are pretty much always the easier options. Players can overcome their problems by simply not jumping as high or moving so hastily. Whereas for the opposite, they have effectively no control outside of the restriction. Therefore, high speed and low gravity pretty much always dominates. Unless there's like an extension shortcut that you can only really go through with the inferior options. To the stage's credit, it does offer a few of those instances, for example, low ceiling spikes to counter low gravity, or precision platforming against higher speed. But the rest of the section, you're still pretty much hamstrung. It's interesting at the end where it starts mixing it up in the final sections, where you're given one merit, but a demerit to go along with it. But the same problem arises where faster speeds makes it easier time. Movement just dominates, as demonstrated in the top end or Toadman fights, where mobility is essentially crucial. The only compensation for picking the low speed is for more weapon energy, which kind of gets nullified by the fact you get practically infinite amounts of it regardless due to the infinite lives you have in this game. It would have been a pretty stellar stage had the balancing been adjusted more. Pick your review, the whiny one or the happy one.
Oh, this ought to be good.
The whiny one! Good luck on a no damage buster only run. Most of the challenges are reasonably perfectible, barring some demanding ones involving heavy gravity, gut slips, and unexpected shield enemies, but not the last four bosses. The combination of altered movement physics, limited room to maneuver, death spikes, and questionably implemented gimmicks is just too much, requiring special weapons or excessive precision to survive. The only strategy that seems to work against Airman is don't fight Airman.
Yeah, seems about right.
Ah, it's a shame, Flashman.
It would have been really funny. It's just like, you get to this box and all of a sudden you have a drop down. It's like, oh god. Which one are we picking?
The rapid learning curve gives the level a nice pace, but at the expense of player mastery. More practice with basic platforming after each movement change would be beneficial, especially after the speed change. Bubble plus conveyors is not a good way to learn. And as a matter of personal preference, any part of slow movement is too restrictive for me to fully enjoy. Also, I'm kind of disappointed that Toadman doesn't comically explode on the spikes when he appears. The happy one! Movement gimmicks are a tricky proposition when the same stretch of level needs to accommodate two different possibilities. This level does an admirable job of crafting nicely replayable challenges arcs that balance fast, slow, and high and low power up. I'm not reading very good. Power-ups, checkpoints, spikes that explode when a boss dies, and gimmick sides are considerate of the player as well. Music and graphics are appropriate, technical construction seems to be flawless, fast movement is bonkers and fun, and it pairs surprisingly well with heavy gravity. The slightly oversized enemy/gimmick roster is used in good effect. The first stretch with modified jumping is a highlight for me. I also enjoy the Pharaoh Man fight. His attack pattern and room architecture work equally well with either movement option. Overall, this is a unique twist on the usual gameplay, and I like that there's freedom of choice attached. Multiple paths. So often I've seen these synced levels and make the whole combined package worse. Often through just not giving either path enough time and love to shine. And sure, here Here you are technically going through the same paths with different movement options, but there's still mechanically multiple paths. But here, there's restraint. I think restraint is one of the things that earn a lot of goodwill in situations like this. Players are not forced to replay this level. Both final bosses drop the same energy element, which is good, because some poisons here are less fun than others. Oh sure, I replayed the level with all possible options out of judging obligation, but no one else has to. This was smart. I think poisons where your movement is only hampered are the least fun options. They're a bit slow and plotty for my taste, and the first segment in particular invokes a lot of pixel-perfect jumps, and when combined with low gravity is honestly the hardest and most tedious segment of the level. But any given segment is short, and checkpoints are not far away. This restraint, it helps the level. The stage has clearly had a fair bit of thought put into it, and barring a couple of circumstances, any of the many deaths I suffered always felt like my own fault, and not too punishing either. I think this allowed me to ultimately enjoy the design of the stage rather than feel like I was butting my head up against something. For purely dev kit assets, this stage does look nice, and for once, a stock piece of Mega Man music fits it well, rather than trying to remind me I'm playing a lesser version of an old stage. Starband's theme helps highlight the overall atmosphere. Another frequent complaint I've made over judging is stages just arbitrarily using Robot Masters. Using Robot Masters are mid-stage bosses. I think that was supposed to be as mid-stage bosses. I don't make that complaint here. These aren't just wasting my time fighting something I've fought before. New rooms and changes to your movement render these fights way more original, as thus they're complementary to the level rather than distracting. There's enough thought or novelty put into these battles, and novelty, that I felt compelled to try every option. We're getting a lot of R's coming on in here. Of the fights, I think Gravity Man and Air Man are the weakest here. Gravity Man feels pretty much the same, admittedly such a simple and hard-coded boss, it's tough to make him novel. And Air Man is ill-suited to the new movement options you're given, basically boiling down to a damage race as you really don't have enough time to set up dodging to the air shooters. A shame, since he's one of the potential final bosses. Overall, while I think this stage might not suit everyone, I came away pretty positive. As basic as it was, this is an overall fun level. Good job! Arrgh! I think I'll actually go with Ace on this one. It's such an easy thing to screw up, but it's perfectly palatable. While we're here, let's see what the other posters turned into. Oh no, whatever will we do?
Rush is going to... Wily, no! Wily's weird feet and doing the splits with his weird long legs. Ugh, I don't like that one.
This is outrageous! A handsome movie star such as I should be getting a discount on the food and drink, don't you think? And I should get the promotional cups and toys for free, too! I'll talk to you guys after I'm done with this one. I mean, Wily is a ninja. Here's a smoke bomb, etc. Because I'm a ninja! Alpine Weather Institute. This one's brought to us by a Wily machine. Let's go! A token skip, huh? Alright. Yo, what up, sheep man? Those are nice. This is the life. Lightning Lord, now in standard size! I see! Right, it's a race so I can not get squished. Understood. A race, you say?
Yeah, that was pretty close here with the cat cycle, but hey, I was asked to go fast, and we have a tool that goes fast.
Ah, the rain's too heavy for Lightning Lord to throw his lightning properly. There.
Sir! Oh, come on!
I must say, I'm getting my fill of getting squished by things.
That's been happening a lot throughout this playthrough.
How many times have we been squished by rising or lowering blocks?
Because it feels like a lot.
That time I just didn't press the jump button in time. That would have been death without the man helmet right there. Those do look a wee bit on the jank side, so I'm starting to see where the functionality score came into play here. Okay, I get the feeling we're gonna have a change of weather after I defeat this guy. Oh, there's a button right here. Alright, now we go back. I do not trust this at all. Go, go, go! I kinda need the HP refill anyways, so that's not so bad. Nice job, idiot! You can't just slide to those, huh? So that's gonna require a little micro jump, which is gonna be very awkward. Alright, a little micro jump, let's do it. That is ridiculously tight, but sure. Oh boy! Alright, bang on. Get him out of there, pest! Alright, so you want to do a freeze on this one? Or I could just do that. Alright, I mean, I can go all the way over here. Okay, gets me some tanks. So I guess that's the last token right there? So there's gonna be a teleporter somewhere that takes me here. Got it. Well, dang, I didn't want to be down here, but sure. Nothing seems out of the ordinary down here, so we'll keep going, though. And penguins. two-color one map. What's up? Let's pull across time, space, time, and dimensions and stuck here to give dev commentary.
Why play Venom?
Because I'm everywhere. Yeah, okay, buddy. Alright, what could we talk between? A little bit of everything, got it. I see. Alright, so this is the point where I go looking forward and see what exactly I'm doing before I try to do anything else. Alright, so then you use water to lift it up to the top, and then you freeze it, and you push it onto these. And then you go on up here, and then you push it on here, and leave it on ice. Then you jump up to turn it back into what I assume is going to be, yeah, sun, so it can land on there. And then you have to quickly jump up to refreeze the water. You get into a state of water, and then yada yada. Alternatively, and hear me out on this one. Oh, ice wall's gone.
But of course, you know what? It still doesn't stop me though. I got Rush Jet, I can make that work.
Alright, we're gonna try some shenanigans. Because I think I see potential here for some cheese. It's gonna be very tricky though, and probably harder than just doing this normally. But hey, I want to see if I can do it. I have a cheese idea, and it might work. I really need a tango to not be all the way over there on me. If this works, I'm gonna have a laugh. But it's probably gonna be harder than just doing the actual puzzle. Also, I'm gonna run out of rush coil if I keep trying this. I might just switch this to water right now. Okay, that would save me a little bit of energy. You're already starting with this shit, are you, fun? Yeah, that's a surprisingly tight jump. I think it'd probably be better for me to use Rush Jet for this portion, just to sneak through. Okay. This is gonna require a level of precision that's stupid, but hey. Yes, I mean, like how much space do I need to summon? I don't know how possible this is gonna be. one thing I forgot to check. How high does that ice go up? Actually, yeah, if I can just get up there with the ice, that'll be easy enough. Yep. This is definitely being ambitious. Yeah, no magnet beam or ice while they're disabled. Ah, shit. I switched off too early. Yeah, I'm making this harder than it should be, but... I just wanted to see if it's possible, you know? It's curiosity! Which is why there's a cat involved. Yeah, I'm intending to use Tango as a slide platform. If only I can summon... If only I can jump high enough to summon Tango and get on top of Tango at the same time, but it's not gonna quite work in that regard. Oops. Pressed the wrong button. Yeah, for demonstration, you can actually slide with Thrust Jet. Or not. I could have sworn I did it once in this competition. Huh. Alright, you know what? Let's just go. Maybe not in this instance. Let's just do the thing. The intended solution is slowly dragging this thing.
I was just trying to alleviate some inevitable tedium.
Alright, I need to hit the switch here. So this thing can at least be moved. You don't really... As you can see, this is a very exciting room, to be done the regular intended way. Alright, so now we just gotta hit it a couple more times. Once to lower, once to raise to freeze, and once to, you know. And now we just wait until the last possible second, and hit it there. And bada bing, bada boom, it's done! Not particularly exciting. No boss? I see a really large upward path, so I suspect that this is fake. There it is. Some Mario Maker shit right now. I am definitely some Mario Maker shit right now. Yeah, I'm pretty much stuck using this because the buster gets moved too much. I'm not gonna fight with the buster when my buster shots are busy doing this the whole time. And I imagine there's a time limit at the top here where we'll eventually hit some spikes. Yeah, I see the top. I'm gonna get into position before the spikes show up. Okay, it does eventually reach the top. Good. Good. So no time limit. Which means if you just dodge them, eventually you can get around to shooting them with the buster, but... no thanks. Moon! Dara's back! I definitely like the level in terms of its creativity a fair bit. It just wasn't the most fun. I mean, it worked functionally fine. Definitely some jank with the boxes being jumped on top of, though. And aesthetically, it looked pretty good. 47, 56. An interesting idea, this one, but I feel like the execution is a bit lacking. The changing between no water, water, and ice does not really get explored very much throughout the stage, and it ends up mostly just being water with the occasional moments where ice is a bit more useful. The result is this stage is more of a combat-focused one than anything else in practice. Or at the very least, platforming with an enemy obstacle focus. You spend the whole stage being harassed by multiple forms of Lightning Lord and incredibly, inconveniently placed penguins. The latter is especially annoying, and I probably would have died at least 3 more times without the med upgrade. There's also some significant jank with the Centaur Man stage enemy thing that jumps, and the boxes being launched upward. Sometimes the enemy awkwardly snaps to a box because their jump is not quite the right distance, and everything being all wiggly. It can result in some frustrating... I'm gonna take the batteries out of this damn phone. crushing related deaths. Not really fond of the tokens either. The first one is fine, but the second one is a pretty uninteresting backtracking session. And the third one is just super tedious. I did the smart thing of scouting forward and looking at the rest of the puzzle after being shown the first time. And losing the block means death. Not even that hard. It just takes a while. This break dash is not exactly fast at moving blocks. The Mario Maker-esque rising blocks boss is neat, and I do kind of like it. But the actual fight at the top is super annoying, since the fact you are still moving for so long means trying to use the buster. It's just not fun. I just blasted it with Tornado Blow. Because it would be way too fiddly. Try and deal with the buster shots, scrolling down the screen. It's fine once you get to the top, and I really appreciate that there are not spikes up there. And instead it's just a nice moon. But yeah, not the most fun experience. Cool ideas, probably could have been done better. Oh yeah, before I read these, I suppose I'll go take a look at Itchman, see what he's itching about. Beating the level isn't the problem. Getting all the tokens is. If you're having trouble with that, go left. Side path at the end, just one teeny tiny mistake and you gotta do it all over again!
Why is it sticking out of the poster?
I feel like I should know this one. We've got clouds, rainstorms, snowstorms, and winter ice. Fitting for Alpine weather, and Cloudman wants his concepts back. Of course, Cloudman didn't have flooding, waterfalls, or lightning lords, so it's safe to say this is more than just Cloudman 2.0. The weather effects are put to excellent use with puzzle solving, particularly with break dash puzzles at the end. And while the water-based sections can get irritating due to the waterfalls throwing off control in some rather tight spaces, and the rain sound being a constant irritant, man, that's definitely a subjective.
I like the noise of rain. Rain is very pleasant.
The winter sections were overall fun. Props to the Flash Freeze intro. Enemy-wise, holy carp, so many lightning lords! On one hand, that's hilarious. On the other hand, it makes the rest of the enemies largely forgettable. The only other ones I really remember are Curlingers and Chokoro. Curlinger because of the invincible respawning pipes, Chokoro because it tries really hard to be a mid-boss and doesn't do it very well, never mind the glitchy snapping movement. As far as the full package goes, the level's not bad, the layouts are interesting, Frustrating waterfall rooms aside, helped along by thoughtful checkpoint placement, it ends in a neat idea with the rising block trap. Unfortunately, the rising blocks are more than a little awkward to fight on, and Pink Chocour makes a very dull end boss. The third token's a bit more climaxy, but that's because it's a huge difficulty spike compared to the rest of the level. It's quite the long string of tasks, some more complex than they look, and all it takes is one mistake or glitch to have it to start over. The token took forever, and it drained all the fun from the level for a good while. Even after I came back and figured it all out, I'm still not sure I'm a fan. It's not a bad level, but I can't say this clicked with me. I absolutely love the gimmick of this stage. It could have just been limited to flooding the rooms, but the freezing effect adds a whole other layer that makes it really stand out. Everything in here is introduced and built upon exceptionally well, especially when it comes to gimmick and enemy combinations. The boxes interacting with the flooded and frozen segments lead to some great puzzles, for the most part, while the enemies fit each section relatively well without feeling too overwhelming. I got a kick out of the Lightning Lords in particular, with how a few of them are attached to other enemies that serve as their feet. The Chocoros interacting with the boxes is also a nice touch, although they seem to snap to whichever box is closest to their jump, if it isn't dead center. And while it's certainly a bit off-looking, it didn't really cause any issues either. I only ran into two major problems in this stage, one of which happened in the first underwater room, where boxes are supposed to spawn and float up for the bottom. For whatever reason, the boxes never spawned for me the first time I played through the stage, although they did show up in subsequent playthroughs. The other issue comes in the form of the final token challenge. This is where the stage goes from tricky but fair platforming puzzles to an outright frustrating game of trial and error. I mostly blame this on one particular switch, the one positioned just before the large pool with spikes lining the floor and ceiling, since it has a strong tendency to activate twice if you jump on it. And for the wrong angle, I don't think I need to explain how easily this messes up the whole puzzle and how it's made especially annoying that you have to redo it each time you die. Granted, it's one of those sections where once you learn all the ins and outs of it, you'll probably be able to nail it each time if you go back through. Actually getting to the point is nothing short of aggravating though, and it really does drag this level down. But not to the point where I'd call it a bad stage, far from it actually. The last sequence and boss definitely helped end things on a high note, though seeing how involved and well put together they were. Overall, aside from a few technical issues and one rough token challenge, this is really well-made stage that I found myself replaying a couple of times, just for the fun of it. Stage mechanics! Move on forward! It's quite neat with the mechanics of using the physics-based X blocks while incorporating environmental changes, combining to allow some for some nifty progression puzzles, but I think there's just a few too many variables towards the end, so the stage ended up feeling like it dragged on. Not a fan of the music choice, since there are too many high notes that it becomes not a pleasant experience after hearing it for an extended period, especially adding to the factor of thinking time with those puzzles. The snowfall graphics could also do a bit of tweaking, as it can be a bit obstructive with how close the pixels are to each other. The puzzle room for the third token seems really wonky, where you could easily toggle the switch twice by accident in one part. Also, I'm not entirely sure what you even do there to reliably get the block away from the left wall. I also feel like there could have been a better way to reset the room without forcing a player death. I like that little fake out with the element at the end there. That was good, although at that point I was kind of ready to move on since that one puzzle room fight really soured my first playthrough of the stage. Here's what I like about the level. Clean tile work, good music, and a quality Chrono Trigger reference. I like bands, man. Jeez. A well-crafted learning curve, creative and effective Lightning Lord variants, smart block puzzles that make great use of all the elements involved, and probably the best use of curlinger I've ever seen. A unique final area, exceedingly thoughtful handling of the token maze warp, and final checkpoint, and one of those pits that are clearly labeled. Cute little touches such as the moon at the top of the final area, and cloud platforms that turn gray when it rains. Here's what I dislike about the level. A recurring rain effect, which might look better if it stopped at the water's surface, that tires my eyes after a while. The fuzzy directionality at the first path split, and the backtracking prone layout of the indoor waterfall area. A few parts that aren't quite as forgiving, focused, or intuitive as the rest of the level. A handful of minor technical oddities, such as being able to damage the boss before the battle technically begins. Here's what ruined the level for me. A button in the final token area that doesn't work correctly, causing over 10 minutes of frustration in my first playthrough, along with the lasting weariness of the weather gimmick and music. I get the distinct impression that button was fixed in the final build, because I didn't actually run into that issue at all. So I'm gonna guess that due to the extreme frustration multiple judges had with that one button, that it was fixed. After such promise, boss corridor, no climax zone, but oh, never mind. Yeah, you got me. I very much suspect that ending was put in my for benefit. I very much suspect that ending was put in my for benefit. Something doesn't feel right about that sentence. The stage is kind of great. Basically Cloudman's stage on steroids. And I always had a new twist to give to any given gimmick to throw the expectations of the player off. And frankly, the primary weather-changing gimmick in this stage is genius. You get a lot of mileage out of it, and the puzzle elements of the stage are generally nice and clean to solve. Aside from simple things, such as the backtracking required for one of the tokens not leading the player to have to repeat the room a third time, the Lightning Lord sticking to other enemies, it's all pretty great. The typos just didn't get fixed.
There are several.
One thing that sideswipes the level a little is that last optional token. It's quite too difficult for its own good. I got it, but it took me a while, and I experienced quite a few failed glitches with the weather freezing gimmick in this room. It's too easy to keep triggering the switches twice in succession, which leads to, well, death. The ending didn't crack me up, although the boss itself is very simplistic, and overall there's plenty to be happy with in this level. Good job! Achie. Oh god, Smith. Why must you be here? What's the slowest molasses way of popping popcorn in this place? I've got a way better idea that would cook it all in an instant. Explosions! That's instant heat, baby! All of it pops at once! Yeah, but then you'd burn it. That's no good either. I know how to both work the cash register and be the popcorn machine at the same time. They aren't paying me enough for this. No way, is that the role? At my concession stand? This is the best day of my life. Wait, you're participating in the tournament, right? I've been too busy serving slushies to compete, but since you're here, can we please have a friendly battle together? I promise it'll be worth your time. Yeah, okay. Woohoo! Let's find somewhere empty. Oh god! He's fast! Whoa! He's fast! Oh wow! Even the slush freezes! Alright, he's got the chill man effect where it's kind of a snowballing issue if you get hit. Yeah, definitely the chill man effect! You get hit once, you're gonna have a bad time! Yep! Every attack freezing was probably a bit unnecessary. Yeah, you can see how much damage I took just from getting frozen once by this move. Well, I'm beat! You truly live up to everything I've heard about you, Roll. I promise this will be worth your time, so take this energy element. Someone tried to pay for a slush with it. Yo, Saturn, how's it going? Fury!
No! Not the live adaptation of City War! Oh god! Get me out of here!
When people think of movie snacks, they usually default to popcorn, but concessions aren't complete without candy. That's why I'm here as a vendor of my official Saturn-branded Astro Gummy Rings, trademark pending. I would offer you a free sample and ask for a sponsorship, but robots can't really eat gummy rings. Yeah, that's fair. Crosshair aware! Okay, that sounds like a freaking Donkey Kong level, and I love it. By Tokyo Tokyo. So Tokyo, they had to be double Tokyo. No tokens! Let's go. This is a Mega Man Unlimited track, isn't it? I think it's for, like, Jet or something? Speaking of Jet, I gotta run! That's about Unlimited too. Hopefully the stages are a bit shorter.
That's my main takeaway.
Because I liked Unlimited, but the stages really dragged on. I also wasn't a fan of most of the music, but some of it was good. Needed that large energy. Didn't need much of it, but I needed a little. Oh, this is awkward. That's really awkward. It's one of those stages where the faster you go, the better of a time you'll have. Alright, these platforms are back. Giving me a sec to get introduced to the gimmick before firing the crosshair at me. It's this exact combination of two platforms again, even.
That's a little awkward.
Okay, no, absolutely not. Now during an auto scroll with the crosshair, with the platforms. Is there gonna be another one? Nope. Ice Wall, eh? We'll see about that. Whew, that's some damage output. simple enough. Ah, that's more like it. Pretty much liked everything but the auto-scroll segment and like that one positioning. One of the shielded cannons from MAGMML3 stage. Let's see, creativity. It's not super high on this, admittedly. But yeah, I had a pretty good time with this one. Function, nothing seemed inherently broken. And the aesthetics were fine. Boss did look a little bit awkward, but that's about it. Let's see. 48, 58, 66. A quick, snappy, and enjoyable level, this one. It does have some things I have some minor gripes with. There is not anything to truly wow someone, but like, it's a very solid stage with a good understanding of what it wants to do. My only real quibbles are like one of the Needleman cannon enemy placements with the Shadow Man platforms while the crosshair is chasing you. Being super obnoxious. And the auto-scroll in general just not being that fun. Boss fight's good. Does not overstay its welcome. And the moves are all very dodgeable. The hardest probably being the straight-ahead shot, since the 3 volleys come out pretty quick, so you gotta have fast feet. I like this one, even if there's not a lot to say about it. Good work! Jumpman's theme remixed from MAGMML3 Unlimited, as well as being a Starry Night Sky and severely weakened crosshair fire from Super Fighting Robot Twilight 2, all merged into a single level. With such strong inspiration from other fan games, this doesn't impress me on the creativity angle. Fortunately, it has enough unique setups in its gameplay that it doesn't lose out completely. There's substance beneath what's been done before. As a whole, these city rooftops make excellent use of their pieces. Personal props for having strong difficulty curves. Each individual piece has a solid climb, and this happens without sacrificing the difficulty curve of the stage. The grid and platforms stand out the most in that regard. That second spike room is nice and simple, but the spikes give it that late-level threat needed. Similarly, the crosshair itself is so simple that it works in basically any scenario, which lets it command a ton of valuable variety in its scenario design. The enemies are simple, but they make good partners for the crosshair, and I appreciate how everything here fits the theme of aiming. I particularly like that Sheldon was consistently something of a threat. Normally that isn't the case. Even Todd Neal managed to perform better here than it normally does, and I overall appreciate seeing a pushover being made into a fair challenge. The only real dud is Wall Blaster. It doesn't have as much of an impact on the level layout comparatively, and having its first appearance while also avoiding the crosshair seemed a little awkward to me. Ultimately, this is well-designed and fun to play. It's definitely not the most creative level of the contest, but it's still a well-crafted experience. Some personal favorites are the second mixing drop platforms with crosshair to great effect, and the final auto-scroll room, which is an excellent climax prior to the boss. But the rest of the level serves its purpose nicely, so there's very little to complain about. That doesn't mean there aren't issues beyond creativity, namely the boss and the camera. The sniper robot master is a little awkward, owing to its really fast bullets and how easy you can prevent its desperation to move. As for the camera, there's a few spots where it won't behave quite right, primarily the climbing room with the drop platform. Please fix the camera in the climbing room, Debs. The way it jerks around on that one platform is literally painful. Okay, so I guess we get that fixed up later. By my own admission, I tend to get bored very quickly when stages are too easy or have very simple enemy and room layouts. To an extent, this level would have fallen into this trap had it not been for the main gimmick making things way more interesting. The crosshair gimmick technically isn't anything new, as Super Fighting Robot did something just like it with one of its Wily stages, so while I can give it full marks for creativity, I can't exactly fault it for how engaging it makes the stage. I mean, technically it was a gimmick from Donkey Kong Country 3 first, if you really want to point at things like that. They did not fix it, it was just that one spot that jerks? Okay. Oh, they mean the vertical segment. Okay, never mind, I know what they're talking about now. Thanks to the inherent nature of the gimmick, you're pretty much always on the move and need to take care of, not to trip over enemies in the process. Granted, some of them are a bit more threatening than others. That shown in particular presents a nice challenge when used alongside the crosshair. Well, it's on deal. Okay, in all fairness, it's very hard to make that particular enemy threatening, though I always appreciate the effort to try to find ways to do so. Another thing I like is the general flow of the level design. There's a decent amount of breather areas in between that lack the crosshair, but introduce new gimmicks. Some gimmicks then get used in tandem very nicely with the crosshair, especially by the end during the auto-scrolling segment. It's a really good way to structure things around the central mechanic here, as trying to introduce new stuff alongside the crosshair could have easily proved too hectic otherwise. That said, I did run into a few problems as well. The biggest one of them was in the vertical room involving the crosshair and several Shadow Man platforms. The screen has a tendency to jerk upwards when you reach a certain height in this room, which really doesn't help while you're trying to platform. Okay, yeah, they're talking about that camera.
Yes, that one's a problem.
The other main issue I have is actually with the end boss, who I found to be a lot easier than the stage itself. I mainly blame this on him following a perfect pattern for all his attacks, each and every time. While this sort of thing works for mini-bosses, I think it's a bit detrimental to see it on the Robot Master. His desperation attack certainly spices things up, but it also comes with a caveat. You can outright skip it if you damage him enough during his regular pattern. Despite those issues, I still consider this to be an overall well put together and pretty fun level. Nice work. Sniper! Oh no, the crosshair from Super Fighting Robot / Battle Network 4 / Donkey Kong Country 3! Everybody always forgets about Donkey Kong Country 3. Strikes back! Actually, as long as you're moving, the crosshair usually has trouble keeping up with the level layout also being more calm. And then when the similar mechanic was used in Super Fighting Robot. There's a few thrilling spots though, with the drop platforms and shooting shielded enemies with the right timing, making you have to deal with the crosshair. Those sections are really fun. I also appreciate the generous checkpoint usage here. An unfortunate thing about the stage is that it's a bit on the short side, along with the fact that the crosshair is absent during some of the trickier sections. The main gimmick of the stage ends up feeling not as prominent as a result. The setting, while a fairly generic night city, is somewhat fitting for a Robot Master who's a sniper. I enjoy the vibrant color scheme. The boss can be intimidating at first, but his shots can be dodged and manipulated in your favor once you get the pattern. I like it. With its interesting premise, steadily increasing complexity, reasonable length, suitable checkpoint placement, mostly solid and sensible construction, clean graphics, and listenable soundtrack, this level meets my expectations for a good Mega Man level. With further refinement, it could definitely exceed expectations. There's a clearly defined structure to the gameplay. Introduce new hazards, combine them with an aggressive crosshair, repeat. However, the level rushes its challenges arcs a little bit. Only a few of the introductions are pitched at the right difficulty for players who've never seen the hazards before. It wouldn't hurt to call 1 or 2 enemies from the roster. I vote Wall Blaster. Even so, the challenges are good. The speed and damage output of the crosshair gimmicks are calibrated perfectly. Enemy placement is excellent, and any combat involving drop platforms is a highlight for me. The boss puts up a good fight, though his crosshair should really come out at half health, and his departure from the arena should really be through the open ceiling rather than through a solid wall, or solid floor, if you stand too close to him because you hate winning. See? Thankfully, I'm a bit of an oddball in that one. I do also love Donkey Kong Country 2 a whole lot, and it's my favorite in the series by far. But I also really like DKC3. It's a little bit slow and awkward compared to the previous game, but hey, it's still fun. And they came up with a lot of weird gimmicks. And like, strange stage styles. I think the final boss kind of sucks, but I mean, other than that, this.
Also, the lightning stage. The lightning stage is dreadful.
And any of the stages with reverse controls.
Okay, I think that's all of them.
I like to see spikes that look more obviously like spikes. Smoother transitions into the continuous scrolling and auto-scrolling screens. The former is nauseatingly janky. And power-ups between checkpoints, given that checkpoints are just full health refills waiting to happen.
I like that view on checkpoints.
I'd also like more integration of the aesthetics and main gimmick. More elements that look like they relate to the crosshair theme, or music that intensifies with the crosshair when the crosshair appears, or obvious visual boundaries between crosshair and non-crosshair areas, perhaps demonstrating that you're safe indoors and vulnerable outdoors, which is only partially true here. There's more I want for the level, but it's enjoyable nonetheless. The original DKC is definitely what I find my least favorite of the set. It's fine, but it's really not particularly boring. God, Tropical Freeze's speedruns are hilarious to look at. Just that's so much momentum conservation, especially if they're using good old Funky Kong. That said, I really enjoy Tropical Freeze from a casual playthrough standpoint. It is a bit long, though. And unsurprisingly, the low point of the game is the water world. Shock and awe, I know. This is very close to being a really good level, but there are a few places with fairly significant difficulty spikes down to your enemy choice and placement. The vast majority of enemies were fine, although the first few rooms seemed a bit busy, introducing all the enemies you were using in the stage at once. But the dash on and Cyber Gabule were usually to the detriment of the level. The way the Cyber Gabule acted was a recurring nuisance, as it acts differently to most other Gabules, and you need to know how it works from the first encounter with it. The movement of the enemy is very finicky, especially as the crosshair gimmick punished you for waiting for good patterns. The bigger problem was the dash home. The first encounter is usually lethal. It's placed in such a tricky spot to deal with when you do not know how it works. There are two versions of the enemy, the other version of which does not have the leg armor, but looks almost identical. So even if you know how the enemy works, you don't know how to get rid of it in a pinch. The second encounter manages to be more dangerous because it's much harder to hit safely and respawns if you move back even a little. There should be a safe version of this enemy first to give the player a chance of understanding how to deal with it. The crosshair gimmick is very simple, but works well. It ensures that none of the screens it occurs on are dull, as the player has to be constantly aware of the crosshair and when it will fire next. The boss is a very welcome addition. It was a reasonable challenge on the first couple of attempts, but also easily masterable. I'm also a fan of a stage gimmick coming back and working in a boss fight, which you implemented impressively here. Overall, I really like the way this whole level gelled. It looked good, and the music was great. Although the background was a little boring, a lot of the elements are fairly generic. But put together, still feel like a solid, traditionally themed Robot Master stage. I want a flash fan this time. I think we've seen. Nope, there's a new one. Torment. We've definitely seen most of the posters, since I'm noticing a lot more repeats now. Underground, run around! Are we getting another cave stage? Man, caves are popular this MAGMML. And no tokens again! Alright, let's go. one thing I'm immediately noticing is that the background can stand to be a little bit darker in terms of color tone. Able to go. Man, the same thing with the 73 months. Getting y'all to spin a little bit more for us today. Isn't this like a potential stop block? What happens if this goes? Something about this doesn't seem good. It's like, I know I have utilities. It's like, I know I have utilities, and I know it's right next to a checkpoint, but that is still unfortunate. Alright, I guess enemies even count as weighing down these platforms. Oh, come on, that looked like a parry timing on that one. I know this melody. This is like one of the Game Boy title screens, but remixed? How's it going? Welcome to Make a Good Mega Man Level 3! We're a bit deeper in than you are on your end. Currently in Tier 13! We're going deeper! Deeper! Okay, it is interesting having to make you time these jumps with the blocks themselves falling. It's a bit more interesting than these blocks usually are. Hey, you got to try co-op? Nice. I saw a little bit of that in action before too. Looked like fun. Okay, this ought to be interesting. Let's see how long I can get away with this. Okay, fine. Can I do this? Okay, good. That's really awkward! They've been mostly okay about being Mega Man levels so far, but yes! Enjoy your lunch! And those are background elements, not ladders. I know it looks a little bit odd, but that is nonetheless the case.
Well, that's an interesting soft lock. Especially bad because this looks like a secret. It's not, but it looks like one. And now I'm stuck here.
Press 2? Right, I have to click into the game. Two's not doing anything! Don't really press 2, okay. Well...
So
this stage is a little bit on the side of Softlock City, huh? Just a wee bit on the side of Softlock City. Yeah, that's what I was worried about with this one. That seems like a really finicky obstacle. Worst part is I was clearly in the sliding pose there, and yet I still died.
This stage functions, I guess.
I mean, all the rest of the design's good. Remember, functionality's only 10 points. In the grand scheme of things, there's not a ton. Thank you for the party, too. Hope you have yourself a good one. Okay, yeah, I fought this guy like a million times. Gonna waste a try. My god, it's the Mega Man 3 Wily platforms. Man, I can't remember the last time I've seen these. Oh, yeah, they just damage spikes. Okay, the momentum on that feels a little weird, but... yeah, this weird scrolling floor that pretty much never shows up again. The rooms that it's used in is always super trippy looking, but they tend to be pretty fun. Oh, nice. Okay, this part of the level's working way better than the previous part of the level.
Go Pink!
We just needed to change up what gimmicks were being used. Ooh, this seems kind of gnarly. Okay, right, I forgot those weren't solid. There's another potential soft lock with this platform, so let's try not to do that. Actually, no, there's extra room to get out of this one, so no worries about soft locking in that one. You can escape that one. We're combining them. really slow-moving projectiles. My nemesis. Oh, it's this guy again. Another one of those stages that really likes its mini-bosses. A lot. Ah, I see. That's even more confusing. Why does only one of them? I'm not gonna worry about it. It's like, why is one lower if not the other? It's kind of become a trend throughout this contest. Our stages that really like their mini-bosses. Three stacked on top of each other with the left to work. It's one of those things that would normally logically make sense. It just makes it all the stranger that they're also hooked up to the other one. I don't know, it just feels weird to me. Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay, we got a race section coming up, another new gimmick. More less of race and more dodging. Understood. You guys gonna say I'm gonna have to slide there, huh? Don't like that. Yeah, we definitely hit our first in a while of this stage is too freaking long. Honestly, I'm just gonna tank it on the left. That seems like an easier idea. Trying to time the timing on that slide seems like a bad idea. I think face tanking the explosion on the left is a better idea. Assuming that explosion even hurts. Yeah, that's definitely a better way to go about it. I don't know if this slide was the intended method. It seems like it was supposed to be, but... No, I'm good at not fighting another one of those. Alright, who's our boss after all that? You! I reiterate my previous statement about being really sick and tired of just getting crushed by random falling blocks. I will say this is a lot less annoying than the standard, what's this thing called again? Well, either way, I like that guy a lot better. This pit probably shouldn't still exist, but other than that... Whoop! Power piston, right. Yeah, definitely a lot less annoying than the regular power piston. Regular power piston is just an insufferable fight. Who the heck? Okay. Yeah, we saw the energy element bouncing out of the pit thing with X6 beam right at the very start. Definitely has some creativity, dude. That's where it's getting big points. Function's gonna take a heavy hit. Aesthetically, it looked fine. It's just kind of busy. I know I think those are official tile sets. But I didn't really care for it. Been a bit since we had a long sucker like this one. Thankfully, still nowhere close to the full-on gauntlet of labyrinthine multi-element levels like earlier in the contest. But still way too freaking long for a Mega Man stage. Now, the level, to its credit, does a good bit with its length. Constantly building on the first gimmick introduced of the rising, I'm gonna just call him Darkman 4? Was it 4? The last Darkman stage, where you rise the tower, etc. He uses that a lot. You get a lot of different ideas from the standard shootable blocks to mixing with other gimmicks, like the block trails that disappear over time. That said, the length of the level hits the usual issue of repetitiveness. I don't know how many drill mini-bosses is too many, but it is definitely before however many this is. They all fight effectively exactly the same. Even the projectile introduction does not really change things much. So having to fight like 10 of them really got old. And props on Power Piston being way more engaging and enjoyable than its vanilla Mega Man 6 fight, though. Could have used some warning about the blocks dropping in. Though, as I got myself a slam in the head and a death as a result. Also, I know these are tile sets I have seen before, but they just look really garish since the background colors are just as bright as the foreground, making it a little bit difficult to discern background from gameplay objects. It makes the whole stage look a little on the ugly side. But I have still seen far worse. Cut the length of this one down by about 50%, and develop a couple of the gimmicks more rather than slapping new ones in every third of the level or so. And you'd get something a bit better. Now, there is one big elephant in the room. This level is basically a soft lock apocalypse. There are so many different ways to soft lock yourself in this level. Some of them very inescapable. This was especially egregious with one particular set of those lowering stone platforms where the wall beneath them looked shootable. So I slipped in there, hoping to find a secret, and found a soft lock instead, as the stones above me locked into place, and I had nowhere to go. Couple that with a bunch of areas where you'd be screwed if you were out of ammo for the relevant tools, and yeah. This one definitely needed more playtesting. This level surprised me, to say the least. To get one thing out of the way quickly, underground runaround isn't sunk by any individual rooms. That's not to say there aren't spots with problems. Some of the super tight Dark Man block sections have required suicide restarts more than once, and having red platforms against a red background is plain bad for readability. Those aspects aren't outright deal breakers for me, and most of the level's great. I love the Dark Man platforms and the tile slide sections overall. Mixing old and new ways to handle those gimmicks into something unique. The few stone blocks were also pretty cool, and the new blue enemies were a neat twist that increased the difficulty curve. Of course, individual sections aren't the problem as much as the whole, and good gravy what a whole it is. It's not bad up for the first Dark Man section, and just ending in Metal Daddy would have been acceptable, but boring. Adding the tile slide afterwards gives the place some new life, but then it also runs the level for far longer than necessary. By the time we get to the napalm blocks, I feel like that annoying kid in the backseat of a road trip pestering their parents about, are we there yet? Now, is the level design bad for its length? Well, not really. The variety of the level remains solid, very little of it feels like filler, and checkpoints and power-ups are plentiful, but this absolutely feels like you took every neat idea concept you had and threw it into the level, and the end result can be downright exhausting. I completely understand not wanting to leave good ideas behind, but sometimes you just have to do that for the sake of your players. Thankfully, Blue Power Piston ended things on a fun note, and the majority of the level is entertaining on its own. Just, it's way too long. Vegeta! Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Despite suffering from an overarching problem with its length, this level isn't all that bad. The stage is a really good example of how to apply gimmicks along with adding one or two new things on top of it. The Dark Man Tower effect is used really well here, and I especially like the new quirk of having enemies halt the screen's progression. The changes to the falling platforms are pretty interesting as well, making all of them fall instead of just the one you're standing on. Not only are these new aspects introduced well, but the stage takes full advantage of them with some great room layouts and platforming challenges. There's a few rooms here and there that feel like filler, but for the most part, they're still pretty engaging. As mentioned before, however, this level suffers a bit due to how long it is. There were numerous times I said to myself, this level should be ending now, yet it just kept going. Despite the challenges being fun, there wasn't enough variety to distract from the fact that the stage kept dragging on and on. I'm glad there's at least a good amount of checkpoints placed throughout, otherwise this could have been a lot more annoying. There are a few other minor problems as well, like the blue Preston's introduction being a way too cramped room, along with the boxes in the boss fight having some strange properties when you stand on top of them as you don't move along with them. All things considered, though, it's not a bad stage, but the length issue definitely holds it back. Turn around and goes around! I enjoy the stage for how many creative setups it has with the Dark Man tower blocks and falling rock platforms in particular. Towards the end, it kind of starts to become a bit of a drag. The aesthetics are not bad, but some of the tile arrangements can be misinterpreted as secrets. I really like the different setups for each of the drill mini-boss encounters, but be it in the form of new attacks or arena setups, pretty creative ways to spice up that mini-boss in general. The real problem I have, again, is the sheer quantity of the fights. Even with the variations, it can still start to feel like the concept is getting overdone and becomes padding on the stage's length. Not to mention the stage introduces another type of mini-boss near the very end. It really doesn't need to be here. The Fire Piston boss at the end is alright, a funny concept for a boss, and it's simple enough that it isn't quite as draining after the mini-boss gauntlet happening throughout the stage. The original plan for my judge level is to combine lots of underutilized gimmicks, including scrolling blocks and falling tower physics, two of my favorites, in creative and tricky ways, so I'm glad the person who beat me to the punch was able to do the premise justice. That said, there are some conspicuous flaws. I'll get the negative out of the way. Unpredictable, inconsistent object behavior, e.g. elevators rise until they arbitrarily decide to stop. Bomb shockwaves teleport from the edges of a higher platform onto a considerably lower one. High soft lock / death potential for playing differently than intended, e.g. failing to stand on an elevator when it departs, using magnet beam basically everywhere. And too much padding, e.g. straightforward metal combat. The aesthetics are comfortable, save for a few clashing color / tile choices, e.g. scrolling background tiles. With different architecture, there'd be no need for a few stray invincible blocks and only seen once falling blocks. Long load times are a problem. One or two challenges need serious retooling, e.g. sliding out of an elevator shaft at the last minute. The boss is fine, but disappointing. Why introduce a conveyor when you have a scrolling block? I harp on the negatives because they detract from a level that I otherwise love. Frequent checkpoints and mystery tanks keep the difficulty reasonable. Self-destructing blockchains are used innovatively. Synchronized falling rocks allow for some clever jumping puzzles. The watch your aim tower maze is satisfyingly tricky. I think a third Preston variant is necessary to minimize fatigue, but I like the showdown at the end of each section. That showdown actually gets a chance to shine, which makes me so very happy. Elevator plus scrolling spikes is a fantastic combination. I've never enjoyed a fight with Stompy so much. My advice for next time, step up the place testing, tighten your focus, and hang on to the design instincts and creativity that make for the best parts of this level awesome. Yeah, it's one of those things, there's potential, but while it's not as severe as some of the previous cases, our dear old friend Restraint needs to show up again.
Only a bit, just a bit.
The highest praise I can give this stage is I think the first 2/3 of the stage are an absolute blast to play. On the stage are absolute, man, there's just typos in every single one of these now, isn't there?
We're missing a word!
There are a ton of very clever and very new individual challenges despite using vanilla assets, and the best part is probably the fact that it makes use of underutilized mechanics from mainline games. You get a lot of mileage even out of things like Dashon. I've never seen so many easily dodged stray bullet enemies be so inconveniently well placed. Personal favorite segment is the lift area combined with the Mega Man 3 scrolling tiles. It's short, but manages to be fairly exciting and yet not too difficult. I really dig the music too. There's still some issues within this part, including potential soft locks and forced suicides. Being able to reset screens would solve both these problems. And inconsistency with spike lethality, which is more sloppy than anything. I'm not a fan of how you encounter press and open doors. I understand why. It gets a bit redundant and reduces the impact of the other mini-bosses. There were just too many of the blasted things overall, and really hurt the flow of the stage. The tiling's also messy in places, and some of the foreground is difficult to tell apart from the background, which doesn't help matters. It also is not easy to tell just where some of the lifts are going to stop, leading to some guesswork. Where the stage really falters, it just should have ended sooner. There are many places where it feels like the stage could end, but it just keeps going. And the further you get into the level, the less intuitive the layout gets, and the worse the enemy placement is. I did like the rising lift and explosive block combo, though that makes for a great final challenge without running the explosives into the ground, although my clumsy paws did struggle to get the slide timing down. I think interesting parts between the edited Wonderswan mini-bosses that lift explosive block combo and the parts after the block combo prior to the boss doors. They're probably the weakest parts of this stage, and I honestly think the level would be better off just not having them. Oh well, never quite pushes into the event horizon in being too long in length, but definitely skirts it. The upgraded power piston's a decent enough boss, but it doesn't really make much use of the stage mechanics and got out of place. Yeah, the room it's in doesn't match the level much. The stage is really close to nailing it, and I enjoyed it. Keep it up with more polish in future. I'm sure your levels will be great. Got another missing word in there right at the end. Take a little face again. History repeating! I'm a big film fan, but thankfully my job means I get to come here very often and see plenty of movies. Huh? No, I don't work here. My actual job's following this one specific person around in the theaters and making an annoying ring sound every time they point out something in a movie that mildly irritates them. You monster! Let's woman. Glitz and glamour. Can't tell if O or 0. I think that's 0. It looks like a 0. 0 liters of Spoony Bard. Chat! Chat, it's happening! Chat, everybody stay calm, it's happening! There's exactly 2 tokens! Everybody stay calm! Oh god! I've been hit by gold! We got another new Joe variant! He keeps showing up! How many Joes do we need? Alright, since this is just the Drillman boulders, I know how to deal with them at least. Even if the ones in this contest are slightly off. New Joe variant, same result. Row, row, fight the shields. It's another stage that just screams, hey, have Lacey trying to equip at all times. Okay, the movement on those guys are kind of unpredictable. Well. Oh, I do not like the flashing on those eyes. I really don't like the flashing on those eyes. Chat, look away for a little bit if you have any issues with flashing lights. Okay, surf. Disco Inferno. Ah, it's easy enough to grab. Yoink! Who the heck are you? I feel like Dr. Wily fired me just because I was late getting to my boss room last year. It has been done. Yeah, we're getting some good rolls on the capsules. Although at this point, I kind of want doubles to show up instead.
Oh, that's an annoying jump. That's a really annoying jump, and it's right before the checkpoint, too.
There we go. We just gotta go for the lower run. Power Master! It's been a while. Commentary up here, I imagine? That's a lot. That's quite a lot, actually. Okay, it's just some things for the edits. What do you have to say about the Joe? Waiter Joe! This model of Joe was designed primarily to be a server. However, it just cannot grow beyond its hardwired desire to hide behind a shield and attack.
You're gonna break so many of those little cocktail glasses, damn it!
Ooh, that's some pretty heavy contact damage. Ah, we have another shield in many. Yet another shield boss makes themselves known. Don't like that shield. something about the jitteriness of the movement that makes it really surprisingly difficult to dodge anything. Didn't like that one very much. Brainbot! Like Van Celestino Green Brother with a troubled chronology. No, not that one.
Yo, wait, do you have any idea how little that narrows it down? We also have the one from Captain N.
Okay. It was fine. That means we're at least fairly creative. I like those. Especially making use of the burying themselves in money and whatnot and the waiter shows were quite nice. Level Cell's not that great to play though. Everything seemed fine functionality-wise. Though I am docking a couple of points for this mini-boss eyes flashing. Yeah, graphically it was okay. Less stiff and awkward these looking sprites. I think Waiter Joe was probably one of the cleaner ones. And the color mixture was... I don't know, didn't really work for me. Something about just a lot of grays in a casino-based stage doesn't feel right. What about 52? 61. Alright, first thing I want to address right out of the gate. I don't know what is going on with the mini-boss's pain flash, but that is really bad. Like, that is bright, flashes rapidly, and it's hard to look at. That's where the couple of functionality points went. As that would probably bother someone. But just how it looks. Ah! Got it. You can chase him in the menu? Yeah, I'm aware of that. It's kind of weird that that one specific hit flash was a lot different than the rest of them. Like, I think I have it on, what, Mega Man 2 right now? Yeah, just the standard boop, boop. Whereas this went on for pretty long, flashed rapidly, it was super bright. It's one of those things, it's the first time it's ever been a big problem. The stage itself is fine. I like the springy chairs. And I really like Waiter Joe. Even if he just gets laser trident like the rest. He's just such a dapper fellow. This is longer flashing animation? Alright. Well, something about it just doesn't mix, because it looks really, really bad. I like how some enemies make use of the money all over the floor, including the boss. Scrooge McDuck would be pleased. Your overall theming is nice too. I do have gripes. The stage itself is not that fun to actually play. It's mostly just dodging a bunch of different shots coming at you. With the platforming itself being pretty basic. Makes it a far more combat-focused level. Which is fine, but when a lot of the enemies are more defensive, like this set, well, you either whip out laser trying for the whole stage, or it just gets kind of tedious. Also was not super fond of the boss. A kind of simplistic animation works against her, as it can be difficult to read any tells. Especially the one for just tossing coins. Literally the most threatening thing she does is just decide to throw a coin straight ahead. Because it comes out quick with minimal movement. And hits pretty hard. Then the usual issue of shield bosses of spending way too long invulnerable. It being a little bit on the RNG side. When she removes the shield, only worsens this. Not the worst I've seen, but still pretty annoying. Not bad overall, but could use some refinement, especially on some of the aesthetics. Robot Master Stage set in a casino. Not something you see every day. Good swimming stage is a fine experience. Playing on how I'd expect a Robot Master level to go. There's a solid variety of enemies and gimmicks, both customized and familiar, and it gradually grows into a respectable endgame. Not amazing, but by no means is it bad. My favorite part is easily the enemies. I got a kick out of the Metops, and their higher aggro range offers a bit more variety in how to use them. Susie J was brilliant. There was something fun about the paranoia they created with piles of coins. And Waiter Joe was another highlight. His telegraphed attacks and unique projectiles, again, gave him more variety than the standard. Moulin is less interesting in comparison, but it's enough of a challenge with its accuracy that I'm happy to see it. On the dev kit side, while TRN has an annoying tendency to show up after a risk assessment's already been made, that's throwing you off, Ball Blaster is surprisingly good, and I really like the setups with Bomb Boy when he appears. The gimmick side is less interesting overall, but no less effective. The springs tools look interesting, and I'm surprised at how well they work with spikes and wall blasters, even if they're infrequent. The coin dispensers are a good reskin of Drill Man's rocks, and the flashing telegraphs are much appreciated. The disco ball is the weirdest gimmick in the room, and I feel like it could have used one more appearance. However, both of the disco rooms are pretty fun, particularly finding the second token. And I appreciate that this isn't an assault on the eyes when it's active. Not to mention trying to fit the 3 disco balls on the stage might have made it a bit too long, so I can appreciate that restraint. In general, this is fine. If the worst I could say about the stage is that I'm a little underwhelmed, it did something right. Sadly, the bosses leave something to be desired. Slon is an interesting concept, but his low health and easily dodged attacks means he's no threat, even Buster only. I've been able to dispatch him with zero danger, which is a problem. This one is a bit better, putting up a decent fight with interesting attacks. Unfortunately, RNG attacks don't mesh with her fighting style, and while she's good about getting rid of her irregularly, she suffers from typical shield boss tedium. She's more interesting than normal, but shield bosses usually aren't very much fun. Not a bad stage, all things considered. There's a few things here and there that feel a bit off, but for the most part, I really enjoyed my time with this one. Starting off with the positives, I really like the general pacing of the stage. Everything gets a proper introduction and doesn't stay in hand-holding mode for very long. Keeping a steady difficulty curve throughout. Granted, I did find most of the stage to be a bit on the easy side, barring maybe a few rooms here and there. It was never easy to point of being boring. The stage still managed to feel engaging thanks to most of the enemy and gimmick placements complementing each other, with the custom enemies in particular standing out quite nicely. I especially like the diamond shooting enemy that hides in the coins. The disco ball rooms are probably the most notable part of the level. While I'm not the biggest fan of lighting gimmicks, I didn't mind this one since it's not any kind of timer. Plus, it's pretty easy to figure out where to move around and jump to, with maybe the exception of the final token room near the end. That one might just be on me, but I feel it's very easy to miss. All that aside, we also have the matter of the bosses. The slot machine mini-boss feels a bit strange. I think that's mostly because of his boss-type invincibility frames after being hit. Even then, he seems to have very low HP to the point where I didn't even get a chance to see him attack more than once during my first playthrough. It definitely feels like he could have used a buff to make him more of a threat, especially since when he actually does attack, he only spawns one enemy and it's very slow to do so. As for Blitzwoman, honestly, herself, I can't really say I enjoyed her fight very much, unfortunately. While her basic attacks are fine, if a little wonky, that fancy walk move of hers really threw me off. The fight starts to have issues when she uses her shield. The dive movement to the shield can make her invulnerable for a good chunk of this battle, and in turn causing the fight to drag out for Buster-only players. I feel like she could have done this move with less frequency, or at the very least given the player a longer window to hit her as she jumps back up to raise the shield. That one issue aside, I didn't really have any other problems with the fight, but the sheer amount of time she can spend invincible during it really does drag it down a bit. Fancy Wonks had to get to work on time. Oh yes! Hop, skip, and a jump. Can you imagine trying to like hop and skip up on the tips of your feet like that all the way to work? God,
Your ankles and your shins would be so angry.
Despite the slight fumble with the bosses, I'd still say this is a very solid stage altogether. Glistering Glitz! It's a fine stage, but it feels just a little bit unpolished at times. And for being a casino-themed stage, it didn't quite bring the theme to its full potential, I'm afraid. Maybe could have used one or two more unique gimmicks to really spice it up. And this stage definitely suffers from one thing. The fact that Token Woman exists, like, earlier as a bonus stage. Oh, yes! I like the concept of, wait, was that a bonus stage? I visually like Token Woman a lot better is the big thing. I like the concept of the way to chill enemies, and the Mets are really cute. Can't say the same about the Rulines. The arcing shots can be a real pain to dodge on many occasions and are just really irritating to deal with. The darkness section is also a bit odd, definitely not expected for a casino stage. Regardless, it's still pretty unique in execution. And that the room is only completely dark if you're positioned where the backdrops are, covering the light object in the background. Oh, that's so weird! I want to say the Mega Man 2 hit flash was the default setting? I forget if I adjusted it at all. I think it might be the default setting, but I can't remember. That is interesting that it's just because it's Mega Man 2, though. Damn. That's really niche. One problem that seems to show up a lot in this stage is respawning enemies on screen edges. Oftentimes, there are enemies in the way, so that a player's natural instinct is to move back and dodge their shots. But before they know it, they get ambushed by a Met or the Susie J from the previous screen, making the whole situation way more hectic than it should be. The darkness mechanics also often lead to that, especially for the section near the end where one of the Rulines can snipe you from off-screen. I feel like the rotating platforms should have really been top solid, but they're not, and that makes escaping some jumps trickier than it should be. There's also this one jump at the end of the stage that was clearly designed as a trap, which just doesn't sit well for me. considering you get sent back quite far to the problematic portion of the stage, no less. Boss is alright and simple, although a little too random at times with where she decides to jump or choose her attacks, which ends up with me being cornered more times than I should be. The credit room is neat, where it provides names for the custom enemies, makes it more convenient for the review, and the descriptions for them are cute and charming. Yeah. This is a level that goes all in with the theming, takes a worthwhile gamble on several unique enemies and gimmicks, and knows when it's time to cash out. It introduces new concepts in a rapid but effective manner, combines elements in different ways, and keeps the player going with checkpoints and power-ups that only need a little tinkering to be ideal. Graphics look nice, but don't always read as intended. I had trouble discerning what Waiter Chill was supposed to be, and it wasn't until the very end that I realized the dirt floors and breadcrumb piles were probably coins. I do like the little touches that offer crisper details, such as Swordman's sword in the boss chamber. I also like the visual transitions from one area to the next, which keep the backgrounds interesting and work with the challenges to create a good sense of progression. I feel a definite difficulty curve with the challenges, but not always a clear sense of vision. In particular, any screen with Susie J tends to immediately spiral in control. The challenges aren't bad, though. Bouncy platforms, fun. Coin shoots, great telegraphing, and disco balls, cool idea. Are used especially well. The mini-boss of the final platforming challenge are also highlights. Boss is the biggest issue for me. Slow load times, missing collation on the boss portrait, unnecessary two-way screen transitions, mildly unclear directionality at the first path split, the blinking you'll miss an entrance to the second token, Blitzwoom wigging out against a wall, etc. Oh man. Didn't see that one. I respect a lot about this level, e.g. clearly labeled bottomless pits, the bonus room with the enemy bios, but I wish that respect translated into greater excitement. For my taste, there are too many moments of confusion and too many shielded enemies, but thank you for giving them a respectable resistance to Laser Trident. Glitz from Stratus a few lines. It's difficult with screens filled with enemies, projectiles, and death bits, and Glitz herself being a significant challenge to end on. Honestly, it's a good thing that not many things do a lot of damage. Had damage values been any higher, it probably would have been pushed the stage into frustration, but the player should get used to having very little health as they get repeatedly barraged by a stray bullet or a burrowing critter. The stage is adorable. I love all the little flourishes and details as you progress through the casino, a highlight being the neon signs of Mega Man and related items. The new enemies are obviously adorable too, but a nice touch is enemies based on their room. Dark room enemies and the light room enemies choose a palette that helps them stand out more. While some of the larger pixel art is questionable, the overall package results in a good-looking level. My favorite aspect of the stage might just be the dark rooms. They fall into the overcrowded category, but the layouts here do a good job of not to make an unintentional pun, leaving the player in the dark as to where to go or traverse. The darkness isn't the danger here, and it could have so easily been brutal. Both bosses are on polar opposite ends of the difficulty spectrum. Slotting is so easy to be basically irrelevant, but Glitz herself has some really difficult to dodge and parse attacks. Something about her movement makes life hard for the player. She's a reasonable fight, and it's fun to fight what is basically Scrooge McDuck as a robot master, but she's tough. I think the stage will live and die on if it crosses the difficulty line for people. It doesn't for me, but it's a close thing. I'm going with Mick. The Proto-Man. Welcome, welcome. The theaters are just up ahead. Enjoy the movie. And make sure to subscribe to the 5 different overpriced streaming services to watch the follow-up material. Most fan! We better be going fast or I'll be sad! My Isabella Bee and Silver Laguna. One and 4. Alright, regular speed, just had to check. No Magnet Beam again. Keeps happening. Let's see. Only Magnet Beam removed. much of a boost, but it is still nonetheless a boost. Also, we're underground again.
It keeps happening!
This time in lava caves. Okay, you can turn around and still get the momentum boost. Alright, this wants me to kind of make use of the speed to do that. Hey, how's it going? So much cooler. I mean, if you really want to be cool, then here you go. Those objects wouldn't be visible in the judge build. Remember, not all the objects are there in the judge build. Run!
I'm the coolest.
I got a split path here. They both have tokens! Alright, let's go get the token down here first. Token acquired! But now I'm curious about that secret spot. Seriously? Why in the world would you think to do that? All that empty space in front of you to get away from the lasers. And instead you slide directly to the hole where the lasers of death are coming from? Just why? Whatever, just take these items, I guess. Anyways, the other round now. Ah, this side has jump boosts. Now the question is, when the path reforms, are the jump boosts going to be introduced there too? A little compass told me so! Differing momentum is at least fairly awkward. Speaking of momentum. Fine, I'll just use first chat. Oh no, it's Power Piston! Except actually! At least it's not the screen shaking, but... Nope. Get him out of here! Now then, the big question. Since the jump boosts were only in that path, will they be introduced again here? Yes, they will. Good. Whee! Yeah, that's right, by the dev team later. Well... But why do I still have a jump effect? My jump height is still increased.
Why is my jump height still increased? Okay, it's probably gonna fix itself. Okay, it fixed itself. That's a bit weird.
Hey, you know what's really good at not jumping? Hey, Biomaster, how's it going? A lot of ice wall weak bosses lately.
Guys, it's happening again! Another boss whose most dangerous ability is walking at you!
Whew, those projectiles really hurt, though. He's kinda got a Skullman AI going. Beat the team! Get all these fellas! Look at them all! I mean, we essentially have everybody. We got Sniper over there, we got Scout as Boost Bam, we got General Air fella as Soldier. We got the big fella there in the lower right as Heavy Weapons guy, and then the one that's kind of... Hang on. And then the little guy there is the spy, I guess. Spy! Mr. Final, that's a good question. We don't quite have all the team members, like Medic's missing in this one as well. Yeah, Boost Man is the Scout. Scout! Scout! This is fun, I suppose. Creativity, I mean, got a fair few setups with all the different boost platforms, I suppose. function. It was a little glitchy. Aesthetics were not bad, but not great. Any 63. I've been hovering around the same range for a couple of tiers now. So I heard the arrows were added post-submission by the dev team on this one. Oof. That out of the way. The concept of a stage that lets you get boosts of speed is real nice. I cannot say I totally gel with the execution on this one. The shifts between boosted speed and normal are kind of jarring and take a good bit of getting used to. Thankfully, one of the big caveats that could have come up with this stage did not. That being the jump boost getting introduced on an optional path. It gets nicely introduced again later on when the paths emerge. Several gripes. Never fun of putting a token on each path, as it just necessitates either playing the level twice or suiciding on one path to go back to the other. Just not great. It's not great and defeats the whole purpose of a split path in the first place. Force beam segments are interesting. I like the first set on the split path. But the set you run into later, when you might not have even taken that path in the first place, is a hell of a difficulty slam in the face. Big, bulky enemies start getting in the way, resulting in much tighter patterns. And it gets to the point where damage boosting is the safest option. I guess that is on brand with the boost nature of the stage, eh? Eh? The boss is sloppy. He kinda has a Skullman pattern going on. But his damage output is way too high, and his most dangerous move is walking at you. Aside from him moving fairly fast, I do not really see such much boost going on with this boost man. Guy needs like a boost pack on him or something. Not a bad stage, but really needs some refinement. Again, that boost pack gimmick is some of the most fun I've had in this judging period. The base concept is simple and elegant, but the way it's used to define pixel-perfect jumps and sail over enemies, I just love it. The level puts its core to great use, and the twist into boost pads is a small organic shift that adds a wonderful new dimension to the level. Best exemplified by the 2 spike corridors that start as all speed and then become all bounce, barely changing anything else between the two. Then it all culminates into a big showdown with a bunch of lasers marrying 2 speed-based gimmicks for an adrenaline-pumping climax. If I have one issue to raise, it's that taking the bottom path leaves the bounce pads feeling somewhat underutilized, in exchange for even more lasers when the final bit with the lasers is probably enough. It just goes to show, going fast is fun.
It tickles certain neurons that people enjoy.
The enemy set may not dazzle, but it's no less solid. Fireboy and Fire Totem are exceptionally fun to dodge on the pads, and the tallest boys always give me a chuckle. Garyobi meshes well with the gimmick, and Helipon breathes some life into otherwise unremarkable rooms. There are a few duds, namely Turbo Rotor and Jump Roller. Both of them feel underexposed, especially since there's lava for Jump Roller to play with. Moliere is also a little off in execution. It isn't underused, but the Moliere sandwich is where the enemy peaks. Almost every encounter afterwards isn't as interesting. That being said, the level's main flaw is aesthetic design. I don't mind a lava core level. A fire stage fits speed theme rather well, but red lava does not work with the reddish-orange rocks. It's a good thing it's animated, because if it wasn't, the poor contrast would make it hard to tell what's safe and what's death. More importantly, there's at least one type of color blindness that blinds the difference between boosts and bounces, which makes the level far harder to play. Color coding anything is a risky business in game design. If you don't have extra telegraphs, it's a dice roll as to whether or not they'll understand it. Beyond that, splitting the tokens between paths forces a retry or a needless replay to get 100%, which some might find annoying. Of course, if those are the worst mistakes the level makes, it's really not that bad off. Even professionals can struggle with accessibility details like that color issue, which is true. Outside of that, the only other off points are that the boosts behave weirdly combined with ladders, and the boost man himself feels really unfinished compared to his level. Otherwise, this was quite fun, and I hope to see more from you in the future. It's definitely a very fun premise at this stage, and I think it was executed to good effort, though not without a few flaws here and there. The main highlights here are the speed and jump boosters. I'm all for gimmicks that seem simple but have a lot of utility to them, and these fit right at home with that. There's a lot of fun room and enemy synergies to be had with them, and I especially like the sections that use them in tandem with force beams. That said, I do kind of wish they were combined with more gimmicks beyond that, since they seem like they would work off of other hazards relatively well. What there is fun, though I did notice the speed booster effect acts a little wonky if you jump onto a ladder with it. What with the speed carrying over after detaching, yeah! And apparently the jump boost carries over to the next screen. But this is an extremely minor thing that you can't even really abuse. I think the only part of the stage design that I actively find questionable is the split path. Both the paths have well-designed room layouts, but the main thing I take issue with is the presence of a token on each path. This means you have to take an intentional death or retry if you want to get everything here in one run. I understand this was probably meant to introduce a bit of replay value, but I've just never really been a fan of this sort of approach. Lastly, there's Boostman himself, and while I'm glad he at least shows up, his fight ends up feeling very underwhelming. He only seems to have 2 attacks, a Skullman-esque tracking shot and an occasional jump shot, with the only mildly threatening thing about him being his high contact damage. He definitely had the potential to be a fun fight if he had more involved attacks that fit with the theme of the stage, or if his boss room even had speed/jump boosters that both he and the player could use. I feel that was a big missed opportunity here. That aside, I think he could have also stand to be a bit less buggy. I've seen him jump out of the boss room a few times. Not to mention his energy element Flano didn't spawn one time after I beat him. Jeez. Overall, though, while the boss is a bit of a letdown, and I'm not a fan of the tokens on the split paths, this is still a relatively fun stage with decent execution behind it. If those aforementioned aspects were polished up, I could easily see this being a top-tier Robot Master stage.
I'm gonna take a few more functionality points off for that, that's pretty bad.
Up, up, and away! Yeah, this is a pretty fun one. I'm all for movement-enhancing gimmicks, and this stage certainly creates some good challenges out of them. The boost pad gimmicks are definitely pretty neat. They somewhat remind me of the gel types in Portal 2. The stage makes use of the pads fairly well, placing them in varied platforming situations, providing some nice utilities when combined with enemies. Two of the tokens almost look possible to grab without using Rush, with the way the pads are set up. Either it's very strict with how you jump, or I just didn't have enough patience to try them. Because you're almost guaranteed to fall to the next screen if you fail the jumps, with no way to quickly return back up. Bosses, his design is fairly generic, and so is how he fights. He chooses one of 4 moves randomly, fires 1 shot at you, fires 3 shots at you, jumps towards you and fires a shot, or runs towards you at incredibly high speed. At incredibly high speed!
Aha! A typo in somebody else's judgment.
Rinse and repeat. None of them has any clear tells, and certain combos can result in unavoidable damage, making it not a very fun nor fair fight. On my initial playthrough, he somehow managed to clip himself out of the arena and got killed off screen, trapping the energy element outside. Upon investigation, it seems that when Boostman turns around, his asymmetric hitbox can get inside of the wall, and the game pushes him to the other side of the wall.
Oh, no.
It's a meme? Kids these days. They're crazy memes. I can't keep up, there's too many of them. This level's fine. I think the checkpoints are fine, difficulty and challenge progressions are fine. The music has a few funky instrument choices, but it's fine. Optimal backgrounds make the floor look higher than it is, laser lines are helpful but obtrusive, and the tile work and architecture are a bit blocky, but the animations are nice and the level overall looks fine. The boss fight and boost pads have a few programming kinks, but they're fine. Fine. I don't want fine, I want thrilling, surprising, inspired! This level has a lot of cool ideas and good design elements, but I find myself fixated on the parts that could be done better. The purposeful learning curve is disrupted by a path split that leaves the player only half prepared to deal with the final stretch. Some screen transitions allow unnecessary backtracking or drop the player into a Moliere encounter with almost no time to react. Most tokens are sitting out in the open, yet there are really clever secret rooms to hide them in, and a trick with jump boost plus tornado blow that could have been used. I don't understand how boosting pertains to the Earth plus Fire theme. Some sort of narrative explanation or aesthetic connection would go a long way. Boost pad needs more than color to tell them apart, and it's a letdown that they're silent. Activation sound effects would enhance the atmosphere. Boostman himself needs boost pads in his chamber, or perhaps some attacks or animations that looks and feel properly boosty, distinguishing him from any other boss who runs and jumps and shoots. What I like most is how simple yet versatile the boost pads are. The mini-bosses are a particular highlight. I also like that the architecture is attentive to where lava rivers and ceiling holes come from. That's the kind of stuff I want to see more of. Fun little stage, and the 2 paths are a rare example where both paths felt equally well baked and justified in their existence, and I always appreciate the restraint of not forcing another exit on the player. Nope, I can just pop in the that alternative route to get the token, beat the mid-boss, and exit. Good! One path has reasonable force beams, the other gets more mileage out of the green jump pads. I didn't particularly feel the latter portion of the stage introduced its assets out of nowhere, and both previous paths felt natural. The boosted jump pads are a novel idea. It's so simple, you wonder why Capcom hasn't made use of them yet. And despite being so simple, it's well taught too, mostly. But the one thing that sells them is keeping the player's momentum. I haven't seen this much at all in Classic. Reusing the former Fortress boss, Power Piston as a mid-boss has enough changes, namely the lack of hidden vulnerability, makes him feel like he fits, and the jump pads help make it not feel like a filler refight. I don't think I can quite say the same for Stonehead. The boost pads don't really alter the fight in any real way other than maybe reduce the difficulty. Oh well. I had to question the checkpoint placement after the mid-bosses. It's rather far after them, and the rooms leading to it are pretty dangerous, and the player is probably a low health at this point, so a tad punishing. Graphically, the stage makes good use of its dev kit assets to assemble a new level. Caverns are a bit trite at this point, just a bit more personality would have helped. But I appreciate the little animation that he was given. It isn't just another quick man-looking level rehash. The level song is catchy, though I'll give it that. Suits it. I do feel Boostman could have done with more work. Nothing other than his walk speed suggests he's, well, Boostman. His projectiles are generic and he's lacking any real personality. He's not a bad boss by any stretch, but he is rather underwhelming. Overall, I feel like the stage a fair bit. Feels like a solid MM4 era level. Good job. Yashaman! Seems we both came out of the stage with that overwhelming feeling of, it's alright.
Who are you again?
On the stereo system of these theaters, you know, when they say a theater has surround sound, yeah, what they actually mean by that is I literally walk up to the patrons and blast them with
Audio, fun job! You bastard! Why would you do that?
Friend. Me and my chums rented out a theater today to watch some classic black and white movies from our childhoods. And after that, we tried to settle the age-old debates. If the characters had a fist fight, which one would win? Popeye with spinach is a formidable opponent, and Charlie Chaplin has the power of tool force on his side. But if you ask me, Laurel and Hardy's special teamwork combo can't be beat.
Sure.
It's probably gonna be a bronze favorite if I had to guess. Yes. Spectrum Science by Spinatax.
Nope, saving that for next time. Taking one look at that, it's like, nope. Nope, saving that for next time. Nope, not doing that right now.
We haven't seen a multi-element stage in a while. 2 elements, 5 tokens.
Nope, absolutely not.
No, there wouldn't be any skips this deep in. We're already getting towards the end of when I normally end the stream, so... I'm taking one look at that, it's like, nah. I was looking for another regular stage. 2 elements is an immediate nope. We'll start that next time. Alright, that's gonna go ahead and do it for me today. If you enjoy the content, please give it a follow. It helps the channel grow. Gets those numbers going on up. We need to succeed here on Twitch.tv. Tomorrow's gonna be a bit of a thing. I'm either gonna not stream or stream a very short stream because I have some afternoon stuff that I need to take care of. So it's either gonna be something simple like a randomizer seed of some kind or just something that I can do real quick because, yeah. I gotta be out here like a good solid hour earlier than normal tomorrow, which limits things. So we'll see whether or not a stream pops up at all. We'll definitely be back to this on next Tuesday, though. So we'll go figure out what that's all about. We'll have to sit on that one for the weekend. Oh, dear. But yes, that's gonna go ahead and do it for me. This has to stop happening where we end up running into a judge favorite stage. And then it's just like, take one look at it, it's like, no, we'll save that for next time. Oh, dear. Alright. Until then, though.
Hope to catch you guys next time. If I'm not on tomorrow, then we'll be back with Super Metroid Link to the Past Rando on Monday. But either way,
thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.